Tocca a noi chiamare due interpreti incredibili, due personalità che hanno dato voce, movenze a dei personaggi che sono rimasti scolpiti nel cuore di più di una generazione di videogiocatori, assolutamente sì. Perché qua sul palco abbiamo gli interpreti, come dicevano prima i ragazzi, per la prima volta qua in Italia, di John Marston e Arthur Morgan, ovvero i protagonisti rispettivamente di Red Dead Redemption 1 e del suo sequel. I giochi hanno un rilievo incredibile, sono fra i più venduti della storia dei videogiochi e hanno in qualche maniera raccontato il Far West e l'idea della conquista dell'Ovest con un racconto molto molto disincantato, molto crudo, molto radicato nella realtà, allontanandosi anche dalla visione un pochino più romanticizzata che invece in certi film, dagli spaghetti western ai grandi classici del cinema in bianco e nero, abbiamo visto. Li chiamiamo direttamente?
Chiamiamoli così chiacchieriamo direttamente con loro.
Qua sul palco di Milan Games Week e Cartoomix abbiamo Roger Clark e Rob Wiethoff. Un applauso.
Whoa, what's happening? How's everybody doing?
Hello guys.
Allora, devo dire, momento abbastanza d'impatto. I'm a huge fan, so it's an honor to have you here.
Grazie mille. Hello everybody, thank you for being here.
I'll start with Rob. And you said you auditioned for the role of John Marston while folding laundry. Can you tell us more about those moments? And did you know Rockstar at the time and how important their game was? And did you have like a lot of hope of getting the part, or was it just like a try?
It was one of the weirdest things, honestly. I first of all, I had no idea that I was auditioning for a video game. I had no idea. And let alone for Rockstar Games. Thank God I didn't know, though. I probably would have been really nervous and messed it up. But yeah, they gave us like a really long page of dialogue that they wanted us to try and memorize before we walked into the room. And then I got in there and I thought, I think I got it memorized. I think I'm ready. And then they threw a bunch of clothes on this table and they were like, just fold this laundry while you're doing your lines. And I thought, what? Anyway, I don't know how well I folded the clothes, honestly, but I do think that I got through the dialogue. And it was just a wild experience. I did the first take, and the guy running the session said, okay, I like what you did, but they're looking for something a little bit different. Gave me notes, and then he said, I got to run out of the room real quick, and when I come back, we'll do it again. And so I was in there for maybe 5 more minutes, and I thought, all right, I got it. I know what to do. When he came back in, he had another actor with him, and I could tell that he clearly forgot that I was even in the room. So I thought, I'm ready to go for round 2. And he said, no, I'm sorry, we don't have time. And I left there completely discouraged. And I thought anyway, I really felt like it was a complete waste of my time. Thank God I was wrong and learned that I had booked the role. But yeah, it was a wild experience.
So you didn't get the chance to do the second take?
No. He just said, we don't have enough time, and thank you, and what you did was perfect. And I thought, no, you just told me it wasn't.
Exactly. How come?
But anyway, that was my experience. Next thing I know, I was heading over to start working with Rockstar Games.
Does it usually happen that you don't know what you're auditioning for?
Say that again?
Does it usually happen that you don't know what you're auditioning for?
No, typically you know exactly what you're auditioning for. I think that Rockstar is just so secretive. They didn't tell us anything. My agent didn't know either. Nobody knew until I went and met with them and signed their non-disclosure agreement. And then they said, this is a video game, we're Rockstar Games. And I thought, oh my goodness, yeah, I had no idea.
Allora faccio un riassunto velocissimo. Ha raccontato che quando è stata fatta l'audizione lui non sapeva per cosa stesse facendo questo provino, non lo sapeva nemmeno il suo agente, legato al fatto che Rockstar Games ha delle politiche molto strette, diciamo, a livello di sicurezza. Lui ha imparato la parte, era una parte piuttosto lunga, poi è arrivato, l'ha fatta, gli è sembrato di averla fatta bene, in realtà gli avevano detto ti chiederemo di ripeterla, di farla in una maniera un po' diversa, e poi invece le cose sono andate avanti, è arrivato un altro attore, lui non ha avuto modo di fare questo secondo take, ma inspiegabilmente poi gli hanno detto no, andava benissimo la prima e quindi sei stato preso, e solo lì in quel momento, quando poi si è trovato a firmare l'accordo, ha scoperto che stava lavorando a una cosa del genere, che sarebbe stato un videogioco, e dice se l'avesse saputo prima probabilmente sarebbe stato anche molto più nervoso.
So, Roger, I want to speak about Arthur. So, he is not a proper cowboy. It's like a weary knight, very defeated man. So, how did this aspect of his personality influenced you during your performance? How do you find the voice of a man that watches his whole world slowly falling apart?
Oh wow, yeah, great question. I remember when I started auditioning and whatnot. I was doing theater at the time. I was doing Shakespeare in New York City, and one of the guys I was working with, he had a grandfather from Flagstaff, Arizona, and he would do impressions of his grandfather because he was like World War II rancher type guy, and I thought it was hilarious, you know. And I started copying him. And then I get this audition for, I don't know, again, same thing. I had no idea. When you're at the audition stage, they're all called the same thing. They're all called Untitled Video Game Project. So I went in for Untitled Video Game Contract, Part 2. And I came in just doing this guy from Flagstaff, Arizona, with a little bit of Southern thrown in too, for good measure. I don't know why, but I thought, why not mix it up a little bit? But the entire journey of Arthur, I did not really have an idea of when I was auditioning for it. I was just excited to audition for a video game because I'm very passionate about video games and performance. So I was really cool. I thought, oh yeah, this is awesome. Then when again, similar situation to Rob, went in, did the audition, and then like any audition, you walk out of it, you forget about it, you throw it away. And then I'm doing theater down in Florida, and I get a call back. But I couldn't go, obviously. I was working in Florida. So they went, oh, all right. So I thought that was it. But then, like 2 months later, they called me back in again. I went, oh. And it was from then on, then I started to catch their eye, I guess. Yeah.
Ci ha raccontato anche lui un po' come è arrivato al ruolo di Arthur, right?
Yeah, whatever you say, cowboy.
All'epoca in cui ho fatto l'audizione, in realtà lui stava facendo teatro, stava facendo Shakespeare a New York, e c'era un suo collega che faceva sempre, diciamo, l'imitazione di un parente di Flagstaff, che è una città che sta in Arizona, e lui la trovava molto divertente. Quando l'hanno chiamato a fare l'audizione, l'hanno chiamato, come sempre succede, per un videogioco non ancora annunciato, quindi lui non sapeva esattamente che cosa sarebbe andato a recitare, ma evidentemente le avevano dato qualche indicazione geografica, quindi lui ci ha messo dentro un pochino di questa imitazione, ha detto un po' di extra accento del sud, così, perché gli suonava bene, e poi dopo aver fatto l'audizione basta, se ne è semplicemente dimenticato, perché non puoi probabilmente farti delle aspettative. È stato richiamato, ma non è potuto andare la seconda volta perché stava appunto facendo teatro, però evidentemente, insomma, questo sodalizio con Arthur Morgan doveva nascere, perché poi l'hanno chiamato una terza volta e da lì poi si è trovato di fronte, insomma, ha capito di dover interpretare il protagonista di Red Dead Redemption 2.
A question for both. Acting in a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, does it feel closer to theater, movies, or is something like a league on its own?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Yeah. Performance capture is its own beast, isn't it, Rob? It's something totally unique. And, and now we're seeing it more and more in film. And it's done slightly differently on film. When you're doing it on a video game, it's kind of split in two different ways. You got cutscenes, and then you have in-game animations. And cutscenes are very similar to film. But in-game animations, I often found, were maybe a little bit more similar to theater. Because when you're doing in-game animations, the camera is usually behind you, right? Or the player has control of where the camera is. So because you don't know where it is, you tend to have to make things a little bit bigger, a little more theatrical. But with cutscenes, the director more often than not knows exactly where they're going to put the camera. And in those instances, you can afford to play it a little more cinematically, But it's a fascinating medium. But yeah, that's an awesome question. Yeah, so it's kind of like that. A lot of people describe it as theater, but in the round, where you're surrounded by the audience, which technically you kind of are, I guess.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he pretty much explained it all, but it was, a lot of people, I think, assume that everything that they see in the game was animated, and we sit in the sound booth and just do the voice. Thank God that wasn't the case, because it's so much easier to interact with people when you're face to face. You know what I mean? It's so much easier to make the reactions to the actions more realistic. So that probably made it easier, actually. But yeah, it was a fascinating thing, because like if you're working on a movie, or if you're doing theater, if there are props that you're using, they're actually there. And they look like what they're supposed to look like. Yeah. In performance capture, they may have, I don't know, like trees were just taped off on the floor. Like, don't walk where that tape is, or you'll walk through a tree. Or a lot of times there would be just
a horse would be just a broom. You know, like, oh, they're looking at that horse, you know, just to make sure our eye line was right.
It's more like doing a Lars von Trier movie.
Yeah, I mean, you did. You had to imagine a lot of things, and that made it a lot of fun. It was almost like going to a class or something and working at the exact same time. It was really awesome.
And for so many, I mean, we had a cast of damn near 1,000 actors just in the performance capture section. Some of the actors that did just VO, that would even more. But there was around 1,000 people who did mocap on Red Dead 2. And most of them had never done anything like that before. And every morning, it would be the same thing. You know, they'd get their suit on, and then they'd get their balls on. And then the first time they walked into the volume, or the stage, you know, there would be a big screen up on the wall, which we called previs. It stands for pre-visualization. But anyway, you would see what it kind of looked like in game. And they would always do the same thing. They'd walk in like this. They'd go. That is so cool! And then me and Rob are like, yeah, I know, yeah, it's really cool. And we'd stand around for like 5 minutes for them to get it out of their system. And then we'd get on with it, you know?
You said 1,000 people?
I think it's close to 1,000 who did performance capture on it. And there are even more than with just voice acting in the booth.
Riassumo velocemente, abbiamo chiesto se recitare in un gioco come Red Dead Redemption tramite il performance capture è qualcosa di simile al cinema, al teatro, è diverso da tutti e due. Ci hanno detto che è un po' un mix, perché da una parte si tende ad esagerare molto i movimenti, perché soprattutto per i momenti in game non sai dove sarà la telecamera e quindi devi fare delle animazioni che sono un po' più estreme, tra virgolette, come movenze. Nelle cutscene invece c'è molto più controllo, perché qualcuno ha deciso dove saranno le inquadrature e quindi sai meglio come recitare. In quei casi è più simile a un film, nell'altro caso invece è un po' come avere un teatro dove però il tuo pubblico sta tutto attorno a te. La curiosità che ci dicevano è che ci sono state più di 1.000 persone che hanno lavorato al motion capture del gioco e che ogni mattina, quando si vestivano con la classica tutina del motion capture, con le palline, con i sensori, avevano uno schermo gigante con una previsualizzazione in game di quello che stava succedendo, e diceva ogni volta che vedevamo arrivare le persone nella zona che diciamo permetteva il tracking, vedevi questo gesto delle persone che rimanevano a bocca aperta del fatto di essere, diciamo, direttamente all'interno del gioco. E è stata un'esperienza molto, molto forte, particolare e unica dal punto di vista proprio attoriale.
So, Rob, a question about John Marston. So, who is a man of very few words and heavy silences. So, how do you act a character that is more defined by what he doesn't say than what he does?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess really the only time John really opens up is he's talking to Bonnie McFarlane on her porch, and he tells her, you know, kind of, this is who I am. And but you're right, most of the scenes, John is just kind of listening and gathering information, and I think that's important because playing the game, that's how you know what to do next, right? But yeah, I didn't know. It took me so long to figure out who this character was, because the way that they give you the script, but only in sections. Then once you're doing them, they're not in order. So it takes a long time to figure out who this character is, what this game is even about, all these different things. Like, so, for instance, John, that scene that we all know about, well, you know what, the game's 15 years old.
Yes.
I don't want to say spoil. Like I don't know if this is a spoiler, but for
we
some
can talk
people,
about
we can
everything.
talk about the story.
It's a fine.
Some people. Well, anyway, so there's a scene where John walks through these barn doors, right? I'll just leave it at that. And we did that like 3 weeks into the project. I had no idea what it meant at the time. No idea. So there's a lot of I didn't know what I was doing for the majority of the time. To be honest with you, that's the truth.
And what happened when you found out?
Well, then it was over. I was like, oh my goodness. When it was all kind of wrapping up, I could put it all together. And I mean, truthfully, that's how it went for me.
Gli ho chiesto un po' come si fa a interpretare un personaggio che è definito più dai silenzi che dalle parole, perché John Marston è un personaggio molto silenzioso. E lui mi ha detto che sì, in effetti ci sono pochi momenti all'interno del gioco in cui John si apre e si racconta, e molto più spesso in realtà sta in ascolto, carpisce delle informazioni, che di fatto è anche in un videogioco una cosa importante, perché poi è la stessa cosa che fa l'utente, cioè ascolta e poi capisce che cosa deve fare dopo. In generale mi ha detto che ci ha messo molto tempo per entrare un po' in sintonia con il personaggio di John Marston, anche perché il processo di registrazione delle varie scene non necessariamente segue sequenzialmente poi quella che è la storia, e molto spesso semplicemente gli danno dei pezzi di copione e gli chiedono di recitarli senza dargli il contesto. Per esempio, uno dei momenti focali del gioco, chi l'ha giocato lo sa, quando diciamo che John apre le porte di un granaio e poi si avvia, diciamo, verso un destino specifico, lui l'ha registrato 3 settimane dopo l'inizio delle riprese, senza sapere esattamente che ruolo avrebbe avuto poi all'interno del gioco stesso. E quando l'ha scoperto, così come è successo a me adesso, gli è un po' esploso il cervello. Però ecco, è una sfida in più sicuramente quella di recitare senza avere proprio piena cognizione di quello che succede nella storia del gioco.
A question about Arthur voice performance, because it's very physical, and especially in the later stages you had to incorporate wheezing, coughing, and the sound of respiratory exhaustion. How did you approach acting for a character that suffers like that, and how hard was it emotionally and rough for your throat?
Yeah, so I was a huge fan of Red Dead Redemption walking into Red Dead Redemption 2. Pretty early on I learned that Arthur contracts TB. Spoilers. It was like within the first month, actually. I did the scene where he contracts it from Thomas Downs. He does the debt collecting mission and gets it off of him. And I remember reading the script. It was very specific stage direction. It said Downs coughs in Arthur's face. And they went, oh yeah, and we want you to wipe some of his spit off, you know? I went, oh, okay, that's very specific. You know, what's that all about? And then our director told me, he says, oh yeah, you get TB. And I went, oh, I get TB, do I? So then I'm pulling out my phone and I'm Googling, when cure for TB found? It was in 1899. So then I knew straight away. And I thought immediately, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Because obviously, you know, John meets his demise at the end of Red Dead Redemption. But with John, you don't see it coming. And it's very sudden and it's very shocking. But now I could tell, okay, they're going to do the same thing with Arthur. But now this time, it's going to be a slow burn, and you're going to see it coming from a long way off. So the same, but different. So I was really excited to explore that. But then, you know, as it started to really hit me, I was like, oh my gosh, how do I do that? So it was really hard to find, like, audio footage of people suffering from tuberculosis, because they had found a cure for it by the time that technology existed, you know? But I was able to find some audio, and I just tried to recreate that. And luckily we worked on it for so long that anytime I had a cold, I would go, hey guys, come on, let me cough into the microphone for a bit and make it sound really good. So over 5 years we were able to get some pretty good sampling, yeah.
Gli ho chiesto quanto è stato complicato recitare un personaggio come il suo, che a un certo punto si ammala, è un momento anche molto importante nella trama. Dice che, esattamente come raccontava prima, non aveva la percezione quando sono iniziati i lavori di quello che fosse il destino ovviamente di Arthur, e però quello che è successo è che durante un momento in particolare, una cutscene, c'era una descrizione molto specifica del fatto che il personaggio dovesse ricevere un colpo di tosse di qualcun altro in faccia e dovesse detergersi dallo sputo di questo dagli occhi sostanzialmente, e dice: questa cosa mi ha un po' acceso una lampadina, sono subito andato su Google a cercare quando è stata trovata la cura per la tubercolosi, e non era nel 1899, quindi lì ho capito che quella scena che mi avevano fatto girare in maniera così un po' innocente sarebbe stata di fatto la condanna del mio personaggio. E dice che è stato anche difficile trovare poi un modo per interpretare un malato di tubercolosi in maniera credibile, perché non ci sono tante prove audio, registrazione di persone che appunto erano affette da questo tipo di malattia. Lo ha aiutato molto il fatto che lo sviluppo sia andato avanti per tanto tempo e che ogni volta che lui aveva l'influenza, aveva il raffreddore o la tosse, diceva: ragazzi, venite, registriamo, che la mia voce in questo momento è particolarmente roca e può funzionare bene.
So a question for both of us. If you could reshoot one scene from Red Dead Redemption, one or two in your case, either to try a different ones or just to relive it, which one would you choose?
Oh, goodness. You know what? So I'm doing a playthrough of Red Dead Redemption right now. I've never played it before. Of course, I know the story, but when I started going through the scenes with Irish, I tried to shoot him the entire time. I wanted to shoot that guy so bad. I thought, I don't care if this makes me fail this mission. I just want to shoot him. I want him to die. I hate this guy. And so... No, I mean, that's a like me thing, I guess, right? I guess Rockstar, I wouldn't change anything that they did. If I did, it wouldn't be right, I'm sure. But yeah, I would love to shoot Irish right in the face. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's, you know, when you're an actor and you see yourself, it's almost always cringe. You're like, ugh, I wish I did it differently, you know, but you eventually have to let that stuff go. I'm struggling to really think if there's anything I would have done differently, you know. It's our job to do what the script says, you know, that's our job. So I was just grateful to have such wonderful words. I've said this before, but the one thing I would change, that character, Colm O'Driscoll, well, I would have pronounced his name properly. Rockstar told me to say it wrong, even though it's pronounced Colm, right? And they didn't care. So I would have pronounced Colm O'Driscoll properly, being Irish. It's Colm. It's not Colm. Colm. It sounds like, in English, it sounds like a section of the lower intestines, if you know what I mean. It's Colm. It'll always be Colm, except in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Vabbè, queste non le traduco,
No, sto
sono
dicendo
molto
adesso.
specifiche.
Devi metterti a fare la voce. Is there a trait of John you didn't understand at first, but then now you respect, like afterwards?
I didn't understand a whole lot about John. Like I said before, I didn't really know. I just had to trust. And of course, Rockstar knew who John was, and they just had to find a way to pull John out of me, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird deal because you're playing the game through the eyes of these outlaws. And so you fall in love with these characters. You are these characters, right? And I guess because I recognized early on that I just have to trust and try to do these scenes until I get it right somehow. That's kind of how it went for me. And then looking back on it now, of course, I understand why John was the way that he was, right? But you got to remember that the entire first game that we were working on, I had no idea that there was ever a prequel. So, I mean, even if I had all of the information that I would want to have to play that role in Red Dead Redemption, I still didn't have even a fraction of the information. So, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that differently, but yeah, there was a lot that I was confused about because I really didn't know anything, kind of.
So you had to just trust it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, well, I'm doing it. I guess I'm doing it right enough. They keep bringing me back.
Ho chiesto se c'era qualche aspetto della personalità di John che non aveva capito all'inizio, ma che magari poi è riuscito a comprendere nel corso dell'opera, e lui mi ha detto che all'inizio ha fatto proprio fatica a capire il personaggio, ma che parte del processo attoriale e nello specifico nell'interpretare, in questo caso, un fuorilegge, per cui poi alla fine parteggi, però è comunque un personaggio sopra le righe, difficile, eccetera. È anche una questione di fiducia. Dice che poi, avendo lavorato a 2 giochi, è stato più facile fare il secondo per una questione, diciamo, un po' così a cascata, però la difficoltà all'inizio era relazionarsi ad un personaggio che faceva un po' fatica a comprendere, ma poi alla fine, fidandosi anche del lavoro che hanno fatto gli sceneggiatori, semplicemente le cose sono andate a posto.
So, a question for both of us. Are you fan of Westerns movie? And how do you feel about the way the game's portrayal of Old West, that is a word forced to end, like leaving space for modernity to come?
Oh yeah, huge fan of westerns. I remember watching them with my dad all the time. My dad introduced me to them. It's the first film genre, the western, isn't it? You know, and still to this day, hugely successful now in multiple mediums, including gaming. But yeah, my dad was a John Wayne guy. I like Clint Eastwood. I love all westerns though, but it is awesome to see the westerns that influence Red Dead Redemption. You know, there's bits of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in there. There's bits from Tombstone. You know, Doc Holliday also has TB. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Long name title. Great movie. But there's that, it's like the second train robbery mission, I think. And they take this straight shot, they take influence from, they didn't rip it off, obviously. But when the train's coming at night and the lights going through all the limbs and trees, I mean, it's awesome. Rockstar Games are awesome at that stuff. And it was a real privilege to be a part of that. And although I am a Clint Eastwood fan, I gotta say, I think John Wayne was more of an influence on Arthur. Because, you know, he's got that dry wit. Plus, John Wayne talks more than Clint Eastwood's The Man with No Name. So, yeah, huge fan of Westerns, yeah.
I really enjoyed the movie Tombstone. I've watched it probably 20 times when I think I was in high school when that came out. And of course I had no idea I was ever going to be part of anything that had anything to do with cowboys. You know, I just really enjoyed it. I also love 3:10 to Yuma. But those are both like really recent when you think about some of these movies that you talked about, right? So I didn't have that much knowledge at all about some of those older, like Clint Eastwood, that age movies. Roger actually taught me more than anyone did. One night we sat down and on his laptop he showed me a bunch of clips from old movies, and someday I should probably watch them. I probably really enjoy those too.
Gli ho chiesto se sono fan del western come genere e insomma come vedono un po' il modo che Red Dead Redemption ha di tratteggiare il selvaggio West come un mondo un po' alla fine. Roger ha detto di essere molto fan, anche la sua famiglia è fan, suo papà adorava John Wayne, lui è più un tipo da Clint Eastwood, quindi c'è proprio anche un avvicendamento generazionale. E poi ci ha dato un sacco di film che in effetti hanno influenzato Rockstar nella costruzione della narrativa di Red Dead Redemption, di entrambi i videogiochi, da Butch Cassidy e Sundance Kid. Vabbè, la scena del granaio che citavo prima più o meno arriva proprio da lì, se non l'avete mai visto lo dovete fare. E poi Tombstone e non mi ricordo il titolo in italiano, l'assassinio di Jesse James dall'infame. Vabbè, è un altro film molto molto bello che se siete appassionati di western dovete vedere. Rob invece insomma diceva di conoscere un po' meno il genere di riferimento, anzi è stato proprio Roger che di tanto in tanto sul set gli faceva vedere delle clip dicendogli ehi guarda questo arriva da qua, questo arriva da quest'altra suggestione, e in qualche maniera un po' si è avvicinato anche a questo genere di riferimento.
Question for both of you. During the shooting, did you have any sense that these characters would become so iconic? And also, how did the fans' reactions had an impact on you?
When I read the line, "You eat babies," the first time, I thought, this is it. This is going to shoot me to the top. No, I guess when we were doing Red Dead Redemption, there were several times where the director and a couple of the producers would say, this is going well, we're hopeful, but we're kind of betting the entire company on this. And I thought, I hope it's good. I hope it turns out to be something that's successful for you, dear God. But no, I mean, I don't know. There were lines that I liked. I don't think anybody expected "You Eat Babies" to be as popular as it was, but I do know that I think the first time I recorded the line, "People don't forget, nothing gets forgiven," I think I recorded that specifically for the trailer, one of the trailers for Red Dead Redemption, and then later I said it in the game, And then you say that line again in Red Dead Redemption 2. So I think that's a line that Rockstar feels is a very strong line. And I think I like it a lot too.
Were you feeling the pressure while doing so, like the company betting so much on the game?
No, I didn't. I don't think I felt pressure from it, and I don't think that they were trying to make me feel pressure. They just it wasn't something that they were certain was going to be really popular. Of course, they had GTA, and they knew that was really going well. But yeah, thank God, you know, that it turned out to be something that a lot of people have enjoyed. So,
what about you, Roger?
I felt pressure, definitely. I had some big boots to fill. I'm a huge John Marston fan, you know, and honestly, I was just hoping that it would do as well as its predecessor, you know. But yeah, I was a little nervous. The whole way through. But you know, I think they're one of the best video game studios in the world. So you learn to trust them, and you know, over the years that we worked on it, we got to know each other so well, and we became a very cohesive team, and we trusted each other. It started to make me feel a little bit better about it. But yeah, again, if this falls flat on its face, you know, sorry, Rockstar. But thankfully it didn't. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be here. And it still overwhelms me, the honor and the privilege that you pay myself and Rob. Because I know it's just us two up here now, but I mean, it's literally thousands of people who worked on that. And you know, we're the faces, but you know, we couldn't have done it without them, you know. A lot of people all over the world.
Parto dalla fine perché esatto, è un bellissimo messaggio. Gli ho chiesto se avevano la sensazione che i personaggi sarebbero diventati così iconici, di star lavorando a qualcosa di così importante, e appunto lui ha detto: noi adesso siamo qui, noi due, tutti voi siete in questo momento ad ascoltarli e tantissime persone li ammirano nel mondo, però dice: noi siamo i volti, ma ci sono migliaia di persone che hanno lavorato spesso dietro le quinte per permettere poi a noi, come dire, di splendere. Però poi i videogiochi, soprattutto quando sono dei colossal di questo tipo, sono degli sforzi collettivi incredibili, e quindi giustamente ha voluto tributare il rispetto e un omaggio a tutti quelli che lavorano dietro le quinte. Diceva ovviamente Rob che, avendo poi lavorato anche al primo, c'era stato la percezione che potesse essere un gioco importante, essendo di un'azienda che aveva già lavorato a GTA, però loro stessi non sapevano come sarebbe andato un gioco con una tematica del genere. La pressione un pochino c'era, Roger ha detto che invece lui l'ha sentita molto di più la pressione, però dice che nonostante quello è stato molto divertente e che alcune battute sono rimaste molto iconiche, a Hit Babies, e in particolare una battuta legata... What was the line in the trailer?
People don't forget, nothing gets forgiven.
Okay. Questa frase che è stata detta nel trailer dell'1 e che poi è stata ripetuta nel 2, dice: evidentemente piaceva molto a Rockstar Games, è piaciuta molto anche a me e quindi anche ai fan, e è stato un momento che un po' riassume parte della sua esperienza.
Marco, io non so se vogliamo fare anche almeno una delle due domande che abbiamo selezionato dal pubblico, perché vabbè, c'era questa possibilità sotto un post social.
C'è?
Potevate...
La facciamo noi.
La facciamo noi.
leggiamo noi. Okay.
So this next question comes from the audience, basically. So we selected a few. Well, one of them you already answered, basically, because it's about your previous knowledge about Rockstar Games. But the other one is from Gabriele, and he asks, what's the most underrated aspect of performance capture as a technology? The one maybe that the general public doesn't know about.
Oh, cool. Well, you know, the most fascinating thing for me, I've been doing it since like 05, 06. I've been doing it for like 20 years. So seeing the technology advance over those 20 years has been really crazy. And it's as it gets better and better, it affords more freedom to the performers, and you get more stuff done more quickly. But You know, I showed you earlier, every time, so many people had done it for the first time, and it's becoming more prevalent now, but what's really amazing to me was that actors would come in, had never done it before, and then once they got their legs, or once they got their, once they got their feet a little wet, how quickly they just stepped into it, you know, and how natural it became. And like Rob was saying earlier, because we're working side by side and working with our colleagues in the scenes like you would on film, I feel like those scenes were a lot more immersive. And I feel that it was better than if we had done it by ourselves in a voice booth, you know? So I was very grateful for that opportunity. But one of the biggest challenges is, like, you're in there, you're wearing spandex, there is a set, but it's just pipes and scaffolding. It's dimensionally accurate, but you don't know what it really looks like. So the animators are there side by side with the director, and they're just as invaluable as the director, because it's the animators that are actually informing the performers of what the environment actually looks like. So we would always go, like, hey, come on over and look at this. So you see all those pipes there? That's what it actually is. And we would look at that and go, oh, okay. And that helped our performances so much. So yeah, that's one of the aspects. And the way that technology's going now, it's crazy, because you don't even really need mocap studios anymore. People, like on film sets, for example, they're bringing in those sensors, and people can do mocap side by side with real life actors, like we've seen in Lord of the Rings, and more recently with like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk in the Avengers movies. So the technology is still getting better and better and better, and it's just fascinating to witness. So we're going to see it again in the new Avatar. It's a fascinating medium. So, and now you can do facial technology. You can get the facial scan. There's apps that you can download on your phone, and your phone can do it for you. All of these tools that were so expensive 10, 15 years ago are now accessible to everyone. So I just see the medium becoming more and more popular.
One of the fun things was because it's performance capture and they can make your avatar look however they want it to. There were several times, and Roger experienced this too, but where, you know, there would be a scene where they would need another actor and they just didn't have that many people in for the day, whatever. So if John wasn't in that scene, a lot of times I would, because I was there, play the role of security guard number 2 or whatever. And they would always say, okay, you're in this scene, but you're not John. You cannot make a sound, because people will know. And then also they would say, don't walk like yourself. So I thought, okay, because they see you walk, they're going to know that's John too. So and I thought, no, they won't, but whatever. So I never was trying to be, I thought, well, how can of course, it's easy to not make a sound, but how do you not walk like yourself? Like, how do you do that? So if you're ever playing the game and you see a guard or any non-playable character just like walking like this, like something just absolutely crazy, that's probably me.
It's definitely not John Marston.
Intanto ringraziamo Gabriele che ha fatto la domanda, era una di quelle che selezionate fra le domande del pubblico, era una domanda relativa alla tecnologia del performance capture e a qual è l'aspetto secondo loro un pochino più sottovalutato. In realtà Roger ha raccontato appunto come questa tecnologia si sia evoluta negli anni. Lui la usa dal 2005, quindi sono circa una ventina d'anni e insomma il performance capture a livello tecnologico è cresciuto tantissimo, è cresciuta tantissimo la libertà interpretativa che garantisce agli attori. Ci ha tenuto a sottolineare, fra l'altro, che come prima raccontavano appunto della previsualizzazione che di solito lasciava un po' colpiti anche gli attori che non erano abituati a usare questa tecnologia, ci ha tenuto a ribadire quanto gli animatori, oltre ai registi, siano una figura importante per dargli tutti i riferimenti, perché appunto quando entri sul set hai uno spazio che è accurato dal punto di vista degli ingombri volumetrici, però non è che hai gli alberi o gli elementi poi di scena, e quindi servono gli animatori che ti raccontano esattamente che cosa gli elementi che tu vedi all'interno di questo spazio rappresentano. Comunque sia, insomma, rispetto a semplicemente doppiare i personaggi in cabina, che è una cosa che invece prima si faceva molto, prima che il performance capture prendesse un po' più piede, ovviamente garantisce un risultato attoriale molto migliore. C'è stato anche
Sì, c'è stato un momento divertente,
Esatto.
in cui ha raccontato che a volte non fai solo il tuo personaggio perché magari non ci sono abbastanza attori in scena e quindi ti fanno fare un'altra parte. Ha raccontato l'aneddoto in cui gli hanno detto: ok, adesso non devi fare John, non camminare come John, quindi non camminare come faresti tu, cammini in modo diverso. Dice: ma come faccio a camminare in un modo che non è il mio? E quindi ha improvvisato questa camminata strana. Dice: se nel gioco vedete una guardia che cammina così, non è una cosa fatta male, ma ero io che cercavo di non essere me stesso. I think we'll try to have like the very last one about like any unexpected behind the scene moment or funny story to share about like during production, something that comes to your mind.
Can I show you so I learned some Italian. Can I share it with you? Il Ruggero Razzo. Is that right? Does that make sense? Well, how do I say it? How do I say it?
Ruggero Razzo.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly.
Ruggero Razzo. How did somebody even come up with them words?
Va bene. Siamo arrivati alla fine, ragazzi, di questo incontro con Rob e Roger. Io direi di salutarli con un grande applauso. È stato abbastanza impressionante sentire le voci di due personaggi indimenticabili, di due giochi indimenticabili. Grazie, thank you very much. It's been an honor.